Greetings.
Greetings, earthlings and other earthlings and other world beings.
Welcome to the Glorious Mess, episode 3.
Yeah.
Three.
Season 3, episode 3.
And then there was 2. So
Yeah.
clearly something has shifted here. We haven't killed RJ. They are alive and well, but traveling
Thriving.
the world and thriving while we are surviving.
Yeah.
But that's what's so beautiful about having 3 of us on. Sometimes it'll be all of us, sometimes it'll be some of us, sometimes there'll be a guest.
But there will always be us.
Yes, there always will be the messes.
There will be always a mess
somewhere. So this episode 3 is my episode today, which is super cool. As some of you probably know, if you know me well, planning and planning is like not my strong suits. I am a generator. I am the generator of ideas, and then I find people in my life
to
that help
do
me
the idea.
execute my ideas. So yeah, this is my episode. So we're going to be talking today about the creative process and burnout.
Ooh, good
Yes,
timing.
burnout, and I always call this finding simple joys, which is ways to combat your burnout throughout your life daily. But before we dive into all that, how the hell are you?
Burnt out. That was a great timing for this episode. Both surviving and thriving. This has been a long time of, the tasks are still getting done, the ball is still rolling, but I am violently chasing after the ball because it's not rolling by my means. So I'm like, no, but at least it's happening.
That's like a really strong visual. I see you just like running.
The way I run in class.
Trying to chase this ball. How
are you?
Let me tell you, friends. I am good. My life feels a little more tumultuous than I'd like it to mentally, not so much physically. Like I haven't dropped any balls, but my brain isn't thriving. If that makes sense.
Yes.
Like my
yes.
Yeah, but I'm good. Shameless plug. We have a show actually this week.
Yeah.
On Saturday, by the way.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to like reframe instead of that being a stress and be like a blessing that we get to be witnessed on stage and share that with some of our peeps. So let's just dive in. So the first thing that I wanted to talk about today, I rechecked my notes and realized I forgot to add a few things. So I was recently talking to a friend of mine about the difference between self-confidence and self-worth.
Oh, all right. Talk to me.
And how, as somebody that is always told, oh wow, you're so confident and authentic and blah blah blah, my self-confidence is way higher than my self-worth. Self-worth is actually something that I really struggle about. So let me tell you this breakdown of that from the internet. Self-confidence is more of an external acquired quality. It often grows as we accumulate experiences and accomplishments. It's the external layer of your self-assurance. So like for me, that means like you have receipts.
Right.
This could be like, people come to you for advice. People have complimented on your physical appearance.
Right.
People find your value in maybe your success, whatever that means. It could be coming to classes.
Right.
All that kind of thing. People telling you, wow, you're so confident. You're so pretty. There's like the receipts of that. And again, it accumulates.
Right.
And so like if you're somebody that's growing up as like a child and you anyway. As you said, it's like as a kid, we did, I don't know about you, but I was doing, dance competitions. There was some sort of award system. I won occasionally,
Yes.
So there's proof of that.
Yes.
Now, let me talk about self-worth. Self-worth. This is something deeper. Dun, 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 dun.
No, 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 no.
It's all about recognizing your value as a person simply because you exist.
Yes.
Fuck.
Yes.
You know?
Yeah.
So I find, and then this is where I think it gets muddy for a lot of people, is people think that their self-worth is wrapped up into their success and what they have proven is their self-confidence. So whether that is their job,
Right.
the
I
relationship with their
understand.
person.
Mm.
So for example, my Bronwyn joy persona is what has value, and I don't fully believe that that's actually who I am. That
Right.
is the caricature.
That's the external.
That's the external that I've allowed people to see and fall in love with.
Those are the receipts.
Yeah,
But
those are the receipts, but it, and then this segues into your inner child. My inner child doesn't necessarily believe that that's actually who we are, that I don't know, like deserves that value, if that makes sense.
no, that makes so much sense.
I don't know. How do you feel about that kind of stuff?
Oh,
Oh yeah, I'm gonna
tricky.
pass it
Tricky.
to you.
Tricky. Because so I have always been really, my mom has made things made sense for me growing up. And so I put my value in my capability. What am I capable of for what I can accomplish for me, and not
Mm,
necessarily in doing it for somebody else. Or also, yes, I was a huge people pleaser. So yes, it did go for other people, but in what I was actually, capable of. And so I feel like while I'm not really that confident at all, I'm actually quite insecure. I have like my confidence is like really low, but my self-worth isn't, because I've had to be really capable. So I know I am very
mm.
capable. So like I'm good, like at the end of the, like there's a base level
This is
of
why we
like
work.
I'm good. But I also have trouble being like, because I do now have receipts that I don't think I'm worthy of.
Mm,
Is the other hard part for me, is that like I will hear those things and I don't believe them.
yeah,
I know what I am capable of, and then when I'm receiving things that I don't believe that's within that bubble of capability, I don't believe it.
right.
Does that make sense?
Yeah. So you might, and then that also brings into like as we evolve and as humans, as we evolve and experience more, we do become more capable of those things. But if you've been telling yourself this strict story that these
Yeah.
6 things on these lists is what I am good at, you don't allow yourself to add things more to the list,
Well, and it's
even though that
also,
may change.
yeah, and it's like it's hard because then I also think of it for looks, whereas like I have huge body dysmorphia. So when I look in any camera, mirror, window, every time I will see something different. So
Mm,
I have no gauge, no trust of what I actually look like, because I will think I look great when I pass this one window, and I will pass the mirror 2 seconds later and be like, what was that? Wasn't n- okay. That wasn't, no, no, no. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah,
and it's not always drastic changes. It's always little things of like, was my jaw always a little crooked that way? Or is it just the light? And so every time I see something different, so I have no, and so then people are like, oh, but you're so pretty. I'm like,
sometimes
where? Yeah, like
when
where?
there,
Where?
the window on Fifth Street,
I'm
I
like,
look real nice.
right? So I'm like, thank you, because like, you don't have to say that. So I appreciate that, but I don't have the receipts to believe that.
Yeah. I mean, then that also goes into we actually don't know what we look like at all because we are always seeing each other through like cameras, mirrors. We won't actually know ever what we look like
No.
through somebody else's eyes, which I think is
Wild.
crazy.
Wild.
Which in like everything is a lie. Like not a lie, but everything is through a different lens of someone's perception.
Which is
Like
why
we
I
are
go
never
back to I'm good.
we are never seeing the
this
same
is
thing.
this is
You will never know how I see the world.
no.
We can try to understand,
Yeah,
but we will never know.
yeah.
Plus, you're way more blind than I am.
Bruh, I'm blind as fuck.
Okay, cool. Cool.
4 eyes times what? 4? 16.
Um, okay. So this is this is actually a cool
Segue.
tangent
Mhm.
segue, I guess. What are some ways that you nurture that value or self-worth? Like, what are, I mean, sorry, you have a lot of self-worth. So, no, it's the same
Yes,
thing,
yeah,
right? Like,
no, it
I
is.
think the goal for life is to find a beautiful balance of
Mhm,
that. I think your inner child has a huge, almost like I kind of visualize it as like a root. Like your inner child is kind of this root of
mhm.
nurturing both of those things. Do you have anything that you do to nurture one side or the other of that?
Um,
Whether you put them in practice, but
yeah, so the first thing that I started doing a couple years ago was to not allow myself to not disregard the compliment, because I'm a huge be like, oh well, I disagree or whatever,
mhm.
immediate, but that I would combat that with the first thing out of my mouth had to be thank you.
Yeah.
Because I had to accept at the end of the day, even if it wasn't that what I believed, it was a reality that somebody else believed, and therefore in some format it had to be true.
Yeah.
And I couldn't combat that for them. I might be able to combat it for myself,
Yeah.
but I couldn't do that for them. And that means that I had to let that go.
Ooh, yeah. Yep.
Right. And so I will now say thank you. And some days, if I feel really great, then I will leave it at that.
Yeah.
And on some days, if I'm really not, I will allow myself the grace to be like, thank you. I don't believe it, but I really appreciate that because you didn't have to say that. And I will take that.
Mm, yeah. I started doing
I
okay.
also let myself keep the ugly photos, the photos that I think are really great one day. And I look the next back, I'm like, who the fuck was that? I don't delete them. Because at some point I did have that thought of like, that bitch was nice.
Yeah.
Even if it goes away immediately, be like, at one point you had a thought that said, okay,
Yeah.
keep it.
Yeah. I mean the evolution, right?
Mhm.
Like, I don't know. I feel like I'm aging like fine wine some
I would
days
agree.
and some days. But honestly, I think that's a tangent. We're gonna put a pin in that. I find so a lot of the time, um, you get so much like as a teacher, you
Yeah.
get, you're I like to go back to like what we said about the ripple effect. You don't even know the power of change that you are giving somebody else, and they see you as this confident, bright lighthouse
Mm.
form. But we all are just human as well. But I would get all these cards, and I still do, and I would read them and feel I don't want to say nothing because, but again, so quick to completely dismiss anything that was in that card.
Yeah.
And so what I actually and I heard it, but I was like, "Thank you." Like, not actually receiving it. So, "Thank
Mm.
you so much." Yeah, no, totally. And I could just the mask was just like, "Oh my God,
Hot.
thank you so much." And then so what I actually started doing in my healing journey, healing because it's never done, and I
Nope.
actually am sliding back into this old way of thinking. So this is why I wanted to talk about this episode because I need to
Do it.
do these
Practice.
practices again. I would sit in front of the mirror with the cards that I would get and read them out loud to myself and then make eye contact with
Oh,
myself after and until
could
and,
not be me.
until I heard it. And oh, I just want to throw up thinking
Yeah,
about that.
could not be me.
I really need to do it again. And then my self-worth started to match my self confidence a little bit
Mm.
more. And then it got to a point where I would hear it right away and I would be able to receive it.
Right.
But it took me like, and I would say the same compliment over like 6 times until, really was like, "You're in love." And then I was like, "You're in love." Yeah, it was
Yes.
just start,
Yeah.
but until you can say it steady,
Yeah.
eye contact, um, and that's a great tool for anything. The fact that I feel like that's the only time that I can like strip everything away and witness myself is sitting
Mm.
in front of a mirror, making eye contact with myself and having a conversation. Like, and I do feel like I'm slightly different in the mirror than how I see myself. Like making eye contact. I don't know. They
Yeah.
say that the eyes are the window to the
The soul.
soul. But I believe that though. Like when I'm
Yeah.
making eye contact with myself, it's almost like the universe. I'm like,
Yes.
yeah, that's actually where all my being is.
Yeah.
Um, and I found that has helped a lot. The
Yeah.
other thing, social media.
I
Like,
hate it.
yeah, and I
That's my full I hate it.
full stop. I had this thought the other day. I was like
Mm,
pretty low and I was like lying on the floor, and a lot of my social anxiety and paranoia of me being perceived differently came obviously after we got social. And then like with my generation, like we didn't what Instagram came out when I graduated high school.
yeah.
So thank God I skipped all of that. Not to mention my parents were pretty like
Yeah, I'm pretty
looking.
social media came in when I think I started high school.
Yeah, no, like I was thinking about this the other day. I was like, people that get bullied, like, and I got bullied, but at least it would stop when I left. Like they didn't have my number, they didn't have my yeah, like they didn't have my number, they didn't
Yeah.
have I didn't have Facebook. Like even Facebook was out, and my parents were like, no. And I didn't understand at the time, but honestly, thank God. Like
Yeah.
I'm very thankful that they kind of kept me under a rock. um, but so much of our like comparison, and we talk about this, like comes from social media.
Yep.
I think I've stopped myself from doing so much creativity wise too, because I'll have
Yep.
an idea, and then if there's like how many billions, trillions of people on the planet, like of course somebody has had the same idea as you. We're all pulling from the world around us. We're all coexisting on this floating rock, like obviously, and we're all living the human experience.
Right.
There's no way that you are. It's just it's almost like who's going to put it out first, who's going to do this first. And then because there's been this whole culture of like being able to like I can see what so and so's doing in Finland,
Yeah. Yeah.
and it could be the same idea I had, where it's like when you were growing up without social media,
Right. You
it
might
was like,
know.
do the 400 people that know me, have they done this idea? No.
Yeah.
Therefore, I will go forth and do the thing. And so I'm finding that like my relationship with social media has actually gotten into my head way more than I think. Like it's been
Mm.
this like subconscious shift that's been happening. And I think that's why we get so stuck. And then that ties into our other episode of cancel culture.
Yep.
There's just all this fear of like, okay, but you did it.
Walking on eggshells.
Yeah, like what if I
Everybody's
rock the
walking on
boat? What if somebody in fucking Texas is like, hey, I did that 2 weeks ago. You are now stealing my idea, where it's like it did come to me in a dream. Maybe we have the same muse.
But then there's your answer,
Yeah.
you know?
Um, RJ, we miss you. You are
Miss
like
you.
you're like our ping pong person to keep us on task.
On task. I mean, I think you're doing phenomenally.
Okay.
Phenomenally?
Phenomenally. Okay.
Hmm.
I would love to hear everyone's thoughts about this. I
Mm.
think sometimes I feel like I'm super neurotic and just like in my head feeling all these things.
No, I mean that's the like so like my full stop with I hate social media. Like it's a it's a double-edged sword, like because look at how many opportunities we are able to have, look how many people we are able to reach, or how many people we are able to pull from inspiration of how
Mhm.
far inspiration could go. Like it's not without benefits, it's not without advancements. I actually am a firm believer that some of our best things in this world are also some of our worst things in this
Yeah.
world
Yeah.
simultaneously. And social media is one of them because
Yeah.
like it can do so much and it has done so much,
Yeah.
but it is also come with so much consequences. And for what? You know, it's not, it wasn't necessary. It wasn't crippling to our, ability to live. And so I think that that's just also where I'm like, was it really worth it at the end of the day?
Yeah.
And for me, it's not. I hate that I have social media. I hate that it's part of what I have to do in order to push my career and be in
That.
the world that I am now, because I
Yeah.
would love to just delete it and be, but then now I fall off the face of the grid, which is
Yes.
fine in some aspects, but I'm now cutting myself off from a part of the world that has grown and will continue to grow. And so
Without you. Yeah.
I'm making it harder for myself, but those are the choices that I've been dealt with because I didn't create social media,
Mhm.
but I, still use it. So therefore I'm still a part of the problem.
Yeah.
So alas.
Well, yes, and that's the thing, right? It's like this is the world that we live in, so more people jump on it, even though it's like slowly killing us. So on that note, segue 3.
Yes.
I follow this dude on Instagram called Preston Smiles, I think. And I don't know if it was his concept, but I encourage you all to put this into your everyday thing. He has something called inner child / joy alarms.
Okay.
And so once, I think it's either every hour or every 2 hours, the alarm goes off, and for 5 minutes, you do something that fuels your inner child, whether that's like literally like jump.
That's a commitment.
Yeah, jump, but it can be something that's like stop whatever you're
Yeah.
doing, stand up, bounce up and down for a song.
Right.
Stop whatever you're doing, play like
Whatever brings
something.
you.
And so basically his saying was concept was play.
Yeah.
So for in that 5-minute window every 2 hours, you play. Whatever that means. Go outside, go for a walk around the block. Pick up a pencil, draw a stick figure, jump up and down, tell a knock knock joke. Look at and get off your phone, just something that's physically something that's play. Like that's it. And especially if you're around other people, like even if you're having a working party in a meeting or whatever, like pause, do something else. And I love that idea of just and the alarm system, like just
love the alarm system.
I know I have one that drink water, and then I got so annoyed by it that I just ignore it. It goes off, and I'm like, shut up. Won't turn it off, but
No, I'll still I will still keep all of the alarms. I still get pissed, but eventually I will do the thing. So it's still pushing me better than when I don't have it. I do love this though, the joy alarms. I do. And I particularly love it because I love play.
Yeah.
I talk about it a lot in my class I call my class the playgrounds.
Yeah.
Because the concept of play and also serious play of and this is what it feels like is serious play where you are intentionally playing, like you are playing for the sake of playing, and that is pure joy and all that stuff, instead of being like, oh, it has to be this one way, or it has to if I'm gonna be an artist and I must paint the correct way or paint the whatever. It's like just commit to playing whatever that looks like, even if it's a little crazy. And so I do really enjoy that. And I love all mediums. So I love to color. I might just have a joy alarm of color.
And then you color.
I'm gonna color.
And he said that he did it with his staff or whatever for 6 months, and just the general morale and community totally shifted, which makes sense.
I feel like we should do this at teacher training.
Yeah, I think we should.
Our days are so long, we might as well just have every couple hours, just 5 minutes.
And I think that would help then with the burnout as well, because in the state of burnout, it's the state of overwhelm.
Yeah.
And then everything just kind of stops for me. I just drown.
Yeah.
So back into the joy alarms. One of my favorite 2 things that I try, mantras that I live my life by, are find your pleasure and simple joys. So finding your pleasure doesn't necessarily, I feel like we hear the word pleasure and we automatically think sexually or sexual.
Pleasure is pleasure.
But pleasure is pleasure. And so when you are finding a source of pleasure or seeing something that does bring you inner peace, inner joy, whatever it is, saying it out loud, or stopping long enough to be like, wow, that's nice, or I'm enjoying that. So whether it's you see a little bird and you have a moment and you're like, I'll just say joy out loud. So I'll be like, sun coming onto my deck in the morning at 7 a.m. and I just happen to be up. I'll be like, joy. Sit there for a bit. Really nice, fresh, crispy croissant feeling in my mouth. Joy. I will be with friends. People who know me personally, all of a sudden I'll be like, I'm having so much fun right now. And I'll just say that.
Yes.
Because it
I do. It is one of my favorite things that you do say.
It anchors the people around me, but also me into the moment of how precious this moment is. It gets me, or I'll be walking around outside and I won't take a picture, but I'll go like this. I'll hold up to the moon.
I go this way. I go this way, especially when I'm walking, I'm like
sunset. I'll be like, oh, look at that.
Or it's me.
Look at that.
It's me finding the sun. When all of a sudden I find the sun, I'm like,
yes, finding the sun, and just
the best. Yes, I can't tell you how many people have caught me on the street, and I'm just like this.
Yes,
Where's the sun? There you
Because if
go.
you're not living for you, then what the fuck are we doing here?
Facts.
Like, and even if you're outside looking like a weirdo and you're like picking up a leaf on the ground and you're like, so pretty, so joy, throw it, continue on
I
your way.
mean,
Like,
like 9 times out of 10, the person's not gonna see me, and at least I will probably be now a story, and they'll be like, "Wow, I watched this person just look at the sun," and they'll
stop in the
like
middle of the road.
look at the sun. But
Yeah.
now, like, but that's a story that maybe somebody else would be like, even if they found it funny, they'd be like, "Actually, that's kind of a good idea."
Yes.
Gosh, so like,
Yes.
be the weirdo that steps,
Yeah.
find the sun.
Find the sun. Or like, um, and then with the living and pleasure thing, when something feels good to me, either like sonically, physically, spiritually, sensory wise, I will actually like, I don't want to say it moan because, but yeah, I'll be like, getting into a bathtub, stretching, sun on your face. And again, that actually sends a signal into your nervous system that you are in a place of peace and relaxation, which then therefore relaxes your nervous system. And then when you make that noise, whether you are not actually feeling that way, like if I'm feeling overwhelmed or I feel there's that sense of burnout or I'm feeling like I'm drowning, I will just stop whatever I'm doing, take 10 seconds, take deep breaths, and just be like, hmm. And that
Yeah,
vibration into my chest and everything will kind of like return me, and it's started to like lock into my nervous system that when I am making that noise, like
yeah. I was
I'm
gonna say,
okay.
yeah, I was gonna say your nervous system is kind of stupid, so like, it'll take that as a like, oh yeah, all right, we're good. The brain and the body is saying we're good. We're good. I can chill out versus being like, I don't believe it.
Yeah. Yeah. Um so to finish off, we're going to talk about ways to rest.
Oh,
So a lot of the time when we hear rest, we're like sleeping,
there's so much more
which
rest.
I don't know about y'all. Sometimes that's hit or miss
Yeah.
for me.
Great time to talk about it. Today, last night I didn't sleep,
Yeah.
so
Um So we're gonna start. There's five. There's mental rest.
mm,
So that's like silence,
yeah,
journaling, pausing, removing stimulation, essentially. Um, there's physical rest. So obviously, like you're not necessarily sleeping, but like
lounging.
lounging, lying down, removing other stimulations too, sleeping, also cat naps, even lying outside with your eyes closed on the floor, darkness a lot of the time. Um, then that can be mental rest too, but I will actually just turn off all the lights and be in the dark so there's not things having to like stimulate me to
Yeah.
process. Um, there's emotional rest,
Mm,
which is changing your surroundings, doing things that will shift or enhance your mood. Yeah, and then sensory rest, which is reduce blue light, sitting in darkness, clean spaces.
yes.
Social rest, which just basically means cut out all forms of interactions with society. Love it. But that can
I do love that.
that can also be um
I actually, to talk about that one of my favorite ways to do that, because on a day to day, because when we hear that a lot of the times we're like, okay, drop off the grid. So if you go on vacation or if you just put out your phone on do not disturb for a whole day or whatever, we kind of think of it as like this grand thing of like, well, I can't be offline for,
yeah,
it must be a multiple day thing
yeah,
or a specific thing.
yeah,
But what I will do is I will also just navigate through my city. So when I'm doing my errands, I will take streets that are purposely emptier.
yeah,
So even like, and so especially on days where I don't feel like I do need that like sensory rest, or social rest, I will just take empty roads so that I don't have to see people. But
mhm,
and so I'm still online or things like that. But
yeah,
at least in a physical sense, I
yeah.
can unmask,
And
be
like
the
30
crazy lady finding the
minutes.
sun.
Yeah,
Yeah.
30 minutes, an hour.
Yeah.
Like I will just not, I mean, I live alone, so obviously it's easier and I recognize that people have different living situations than kids, but even if it's 30 minutes where you don't respond
Yeah.
to somebody or a thing socially, going for a walk, being in nature, that's a big part of social rest. Um, and just spending time alone and
Yes.
avoiding social situations is also big as well. Um, you have emotional rest, which is allowing to feel and express your emotions in a healthy way. It's about being honest about your feelings, seeking support when you need it, and stepping away from emotionally draining situations. So that can
Mm,
also be something as simple as like boundaries. Like
yep.
if you are somebody that is emotionally fried and from responding, whether that is you have a, toxic workplace, toxic friendship, whatever it is. And sometimes things become toxic when you are emotionally unable to,
I call those my days I do not want to talk to anybody.
yeah,
And I've learned it's a slow process. I'm not always good at it, but on days where I will wake up and I feel like I don't actually have it in me to, and I'm not upset about anything, I'm not sad about anything, but I just don't have it in me to actually respond. That is my only response, is that I will still carry about my day and do whatever I need to do. But if somebody does try and talk to me, be like, I'm not talking to anybody
yeah.
today. I don't have it in me.
But also what emotional rest is we as, especially I think as you evolve and as you become you more capable of just speaking how you are feeling.
Mm,
Sometimes, and this kind of happened to me too, is you get to a place where you're able to almost psychoanalyze how you're feeling, which isn't actually you feeling the emotion. You are just like, you made me feel angry, but I haven't processed my anger. I
right,
haven't even
right,
allowed myself to
right,
be angry
right. Yes, I
or
understand.
sad or hurt. Like the amount of loss I've felt from relationships ending, but because I've been able to take a step back and logically
Yeah,
understand
yeah,
why things have ended or why that person hurt me or why I hurt them,
yeah.
then I'm like, well, I understand, and I
Next,
push.
yeah,
And
yeah,
now all of a sudden I have all the physical energy of that like high vibrating into my body. And so
yeah.
emotional rest doesn't necessarily mean like, I'm not going to meditate on this. Like,
No.
go scream in a fucking pillow.
Yeah.
Don't go scream at the person. But like, you're still needing to process your anger, process your sadness,
Yes.
process your joy, process your anxiety. And like, sometimes that is like, I will put on a song that makes me feel sad, and I will sit on the floor and I will just cry to
Yeah.
Coldplay
Yeah.
or The Fray for like
Yeah,
20
with the
minutes.
brain,
Yeah.
yes.
And but then I'm releasing all that, and that can still be emotional
Yeah,
rest.
absolutely.
Okay, we also have creative rest, which I don't
Oh,
know anything about, and I really should.
yes, I didn't even know this was a thing. So please.
Um, oh, actually, looking at my note, I do actually know. I actually do this very well.
Oh.
um, but okay, let me explain what I've
Yeah.
read. Okay, so creative rest, it says rejuvenates your creativity, engaging with the beauty in the world, whether it's art, nature, or music, can allow you to become inspired. This type of rest can spark new ideas, enhance problem solving skills, and bring joy and connect back to the human experience.
Okay. So what does that look like in practice?
Okay, well, I think it also goes back into like finding the little joys, the
Mm.
picture taking that we
Mm-hmm.
talked about, listening to music,
Mm-hmm.
immersing yourself in other people showing their creativity. That could also mean play,
Right. I see. I
like
see. Yes, yes,
dancing
yes.
around to music.
Yes.
Now, as somebody that is a creative as a profession,
Yes.
this is something that I actually don't think would be so the burnout of creativity, right?
Yeah.
Like those things that I just listed are things that have given me a career now.
Yes.
And so those practices are actually what makes me money. So now when
Yes.
I'm listening to music, I'm always like, oh, that can be for the show. Playground, oh, I shouldn't be doing this for fun, this is for the choreography that I need to do by Thursday. And so I think what's starting to happen to me is like all my creativity that has brought me joy is now part of the machine
Yeah.
that I've had to tap into over and over again because my creativity has become corporate.
Right.
So allowing yourself creative playtime that's not for
Yes, I was
anything.
gonna say, because I like, so one thing that I love to do is I will have, and I'm sure my mother's probably heard me hit everything in my room, but before I go to bed, one of the last things that I do is listen to music and have a dance party in my bedroom for
Mm,
me.
mm,
And like it varies different musics. Like sometimes it's really upbeat. Sometimes it like I've done it to Sean Paul.
Yeah.
And I've done it
Okay,
to
Chrissy, no wonder you're not sleeping.
but I've also done it to like some of like I've found some of the most emotional songs where all of a sudden it ends with me crying. Like
Yeah.
it like every night is
And then
different.
emotional rest.
Every night is different. Spotify is becoming to know me very well. But I do it just for me. I don't videotape it. I don't do anything with it. It doesn't go with it. I don't try and make it happen. I kind of just I will like just play music and wait for the song that will inspire me to get up and move and then just keep along with that theme of whatever that song was. And
Mhm.
then when it's done, I feel like, all right, I'm done. I'm tired. Then it's done. And then I go to bed. No
Yeah.
pressure, no thought about it again, because I know I'll do it again the next day. So I don't even have to make it a thing that I did it. It happens. It's like a routine.
Yeah. Yeah. Creative rest. What is that? I'm still working on
I
finding
also
the
love
balance of
making
that.
playlists. And so I will make playlists that are genres that I know, okay, maybe it's for drop-ins. Like I have a list for drop-ins of like songs that I'd be like, oh, that's a great drop-in song. I'll just throw it there. Or that's a
Yeah.
great combo song to like chosen goes over there. And then the rest is like for me of like when I'm in this mood, this is the
Yeah.
playlist I'm going
Yeah.
to. And so I won't even go in that realm of work. Like my music has also become like my work, my play. So the dance that I do
Yeah.
for me
Interesting.
goes with the music that's for me. So songs that I really love, I won't give you to give me for choreography
Yeah.
because they're mine. They're for me. They're for the
Maybe
night.
that's what I have to do. Mine's
They're
all just
for my
fucked up.
nighttime play where like
Yeah.
I don't want to give this song because yes, I would love to move and I would love to make something for it, but I don't want to make it for work. I want to
Yeah.
make it for me.
Yeah.
So it stays in that realm. And then anything that I don't mind or like like things can cross over. Like I've had times where songs that started out for me and then I've spent a long time with them and I'm like, I'm not precious about it anymore. Then I will send it over this way.
Mhm.
And vice versa. Maybe there's songs that I stayed in that bank for so long and then it came back and I was like, yeah, no. Fuck that.
Absolutely.
Absolutely not. So like nothing's also permanent. Like I think that that's also the thing is that I don't put the pressure for it because then it feels like it has to be something.
Yeah.
And then I get disappointed when it is, or then I almost like to be shocked by the joy of like when it becomes better than what I thought it was going to be because I didn't think it was going to be something. I'm walking into it. We're like, whoa, this is fun.
Yeah.
Versus trying to find the fun, you
Yeah.
know?
No, I feel that. Okay. The last one is spiritual rest, which
Oh,
honestly, depending on what your beliefs are, um,
can look different.
that can look different,
Yeah.
but basically it is connecting into something greater than yourself.
Well, I was going to say
So
that.
whether that is connecting to the earth, to nature, to God, to the universe, to
Stars.
stars, astrology,
The moon
the
connects
moon.
me to the moon.
And even if it's not, and that's why I think there's such a difference between the religion and spirituality, which is a whole other
Mhm.
thing. But spiritual rest is getting outside of your own body and putting your energy and belief or
Entity.
trust and identity into something greater, whether that's like going outside and touching the earth or getting back into the beauty of going to the planetarium.
Yes.
Whatever that is. It can also be giving back to your community. It can also be donating to a cause that you believe that's greater to yourself. Doesn't necessarily have to be like a physical thing on the like
Yeah.
spirituality, meaning
Yeah.
God or whatever. It could also just be like going and working at your a shelter
Yeah.
or putting your own worth above into something else
Yeah.
in your services. That also is spiritual rest, because it could also be helping somebody across the street.
Yeah. I mean, I think the idea of spiritual rest or spirituality in any format, whether you believe God and all those things, is community. It goes back to,
Community.
in
Yeah.
any format of community, how small, how big, or whatever, I think is pouring back into your community of what is your
Yeah.
community.
And connection. We're all
Yeah.
connected.
Yeah.
Grains of sand
Yeah.
on a floating rock.
On a floating rock.
Okay.
It's a great
So
scale.
here, quick recap of
Quick recap.
the different things that we have just shown you about. So, mental rest, physical rest, social rest, creative rest, spiritual rest, emotional rest, and sensory rest. are
Nice.
all things that you can add to like 5 minutes of your life to help combat the burnout that is capitalism
Living.
and living,
I
trying
think,
to survive and thrive
yeah, I
simultaneously.
think the beauty is we all try and make a life, but
Yes.
life is also hard. And so, how do we still put the fight in to make a life while we life?
Yeah. And the
While
thing
we life.
and the thing about making a life though, this might be a profound thought or not,
Mm,
is we're so caught up on like making a life and getting to this like level that we miss like we're living right now.
yeah, making a life.
Yeah. We're like lost the thought, it's gone, but it doesn't your life doesn't start once you get the house and the partner and the
No,
but you know what I mean? Like
life is
you're
every
like,
day.
oh, but when I'm here, when I'm successful like this, then I will be living. Which is, I think, why coming back to your present moment, finding little joys, telling people I'm having so much fun around you right now. I'm really enjoying this.
Yeah,
And like voicing those things out loud. Like I think sharing your joy and expression and your feelings and showing up that vulnerable and transparent allows other people to also show up in that same way. The ripple effect,
the ripple effect.
you
Yeah.
know? Um, okay, we're now on to our question
Ooh,
segment of the day. Someone asked us, what is our creative process like?
ooh.
And is it enjoyable?
Okay, so I, ooh, okay. So my creative process for making a class, like either a drop-in class or just like our weekly class exercises, I like doing across the floors. I actually love my creative process for making a class plan and like kind of like being like, oh, we're going to talk about this body parts and we're going to break down these things and we're going to figure out these techniques and we're going to talk about those things. Love. Creative process for making a dance, I can't stand. I have not found the process that works for me because every process I have tried, I can't stand.
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't like choreographing, but I love making classes and exercises. And so that's the weird part that my brain can't figure out for myself is that
Mm,
like, because my exercises, like my across the floors are a little long. They're usually about 2 8
it
counts or
is like
4 8
mini
count.
choreo,
They're
yeah.
like mini choreos. So what is so enjoyable about that I cannot apply it to a dance?
Yeah. Interesting. That's a good question to ask yourself. Maybe it's because I don't know, you because you're a curious creature.
Yeah.
I find that you really enjoy the understanding of how the body works and how it moves, how it
Yeah.
feels. And I think that is actually you being creative. And then maybe your lens on choreography,
Mm,
you believe that it can't be about that.
mm.
So maybe that's
Interesting.
a stuck for you. I don't know. I'm the
Mm.
opposite. Um, I because I came out of the womb a choreographer. Okay.
I believe
I
I
I
believe it.
I but the thing is for me, 16 million thoughts. I was the kind of kid that would like show up to my jazz class and with a burnt CD, go up to my teacher and be like, I've prepared a solo and I'd like everyone to watch. I did not prepare shit. I just liked a song, knew it so well that then I would just like freestyle to it in front of everybody. I would be changing my solos on stage at competition because I thought that I would maybe have some better idea than what the
Mm,
choreographer was giving to me. Um, and for me, it was always like, I love how music makes me feel and the sounds.
yeah.
And so it wasn't necessarily where I think for you with dancing, this is where a bit different. I think you enjoy the like challenge and the athleticism of it, maybe.
Yeah, I like so I it stems from music first.
Yeah.
It stems from the fact that I hear the music and I want to move. The music makes me want to move a specific way. And so with dancing, what I really liked was that I wanted to be as versatile so that any sound, any way
Yeah.
that my body wanted to move, I had that as a capability and I wasn't locked because I
Yeah.
would feel it. So I could tell that like a sound would come and I'd want to do it, but like maybe I didn't have it in me. And then I
Yeah.
just, and so that's where I want to be as capable as I can because I will get that and be like, I'm
Yeah.
going to be not stoppable. You can't stop me.
Yeah.
But it comes from a feeling first. And that I think is what's hard for my creative process with choreography is that like I am trying to come from a feeling first based on the sounds, but to translate that into choreography that's going to go on somebody else's body is the hard part because the way that it will go through mine is through feeling. So how do I
Mm.
then demonstrate that to somebody so that they can also go through that through feeling
Yeah.
versus then you would get all the dancers that are trying to mimic,
Yeah.
and I'm like, you can't mimic and I don't want you to mimic because I didn't do this from mimic, I did it from feeling, but how do I give you the feeling?
Yeah.
How do I gift that to you? I don't know how to do that.
Yeah. Trial and error. I
It's
think,
all of it's
and
trial,
I
yeah.
think for me too is like why my classes are successful and why people enjoy it is because my joy for the movement that I've created, like my excitement
Yeah.
is they're like it wildfire. Like it
Yeah.
just they might not even not fully understand. It might not look like mine, obviously,
Yeah.
because but they know that there's that one part that I'm like, can we do
Yes. Yeah.
this? But yeah, no, the creative process is it's a love-hate relationship.
For sure.
Like I get this vision when I hear a song and I'll see the whole dance like
Mm.
that. And then I have to try and stand up and slow my brain down enough
To-
to be able to teach it to somebody. And then I want to die
yeah.
because in my process of me trying to slow everything down and understand what that visual actually was, I've now lost the whole
See,
thing.
you have that. So I have the same struggle, but you have it through vision. I have it through feeling. So I don't
Mm,
see the dance. I feel the entire dance. Well, I'll listen to the song and I know exactly what the dance feels like, start to finish.
yeah,
And I can't do that
yeah,
and do
yeah.
it that way.
Yes.
And
Like
I just, I
yeah,
will literally do the same section again and again and again so that I can at least remember it enough to then give it to somebody
yeah,
because it will come. And then I'd be like, what the fuck did I just do?
yeah, yeah.
Bye.
David Bowie, I actually recently listened to this a YouTube interview this morning. He said that being an artist is probably one of the most dysfunctional things that you could ever want to be, even
Correct.
even on like a social level. Like the fact, like it's not a choice.
No,
Like
it's
I
a it just
like I need to be an embodied storyteller.
yeah.
Like I have to create. I have to listen to this song. I have to make up a dance, and then I
I
have to
was
give it to somebody.
I was talking to
I'd love
somebody.
to want to be a lawyer or somebody where I would like be an academic and
Uh,
have benefits and a 9 to 5, but no, my little soul and inner child wants to be a
I
creative.
was talking to somebody that it's never the goal. I don't have the goal to do this. I didn't ask for this. I didn't be like, this is yes. It just is the target. It's just happening. It's just
Yeah.
I'm like, I no, I again, yes, I would love to do something far less delusional than
Yes.
this. But
And physically
alas,
taxing.
this is the preference apparently. And
Yeah.
I'm just along for the ride.
So in short, it's hard. It's a love-hate relationship. It's probably like dance and I don't even want to target it just to dance because I'm into directing and choreography and it still gives me that same pleasure. And now I don't have to rely on
I
my
mean, but
physical
dance
body.
that is part of
But
dance.
it's the longest relationship I've ever had. And we're an old married couple now. And couldn't live without it. Could live with it a bit easier probably, um but music first. Like
Yeah.
I hear the essence of a singer's vocals or
Mhm.
their story and I need to capitalize, whatever that word is. Take it. And
Encapsulated.
yeah, and like put it into my own psyche and my own physicality and my own spirituality and soul and put it on
Mm,
stage and make 500 people or 1,000 people or one person feel that.
I love the experience,
Yes.
experiencing music,
Yeah.
like the
And
act of
experience the
list.
story.
Yes, and that drives where I'm like, I need to share this.
Yeah.
I can't keep this for myself. I can't be the only one who's experiencing this. I must share it.
Yeah. I agree. Okay, we got one more question because we're running out of time,
I
but
talk a lot.
we do talk a lot, and RJ wasn't here to
Keep us on
keep
track.
keep us in check. Someone said, I'm at a crossroads in my career and feeling lost. How can I tap into my passions and find fulfillment in my work?
Ooh,
Oof,
yeah.
shit. Let me know when you find out, honestly. No, I'm just kidding. Um, I think I'm gonna assume kind of arts related. You might not be, but you get to a breaking point where you try so hard to make a living with your passion or your art or your purpose, and sometimes it's not enough. And so then you're stuck in a survival burnout mode,
Yeah.
which you're actually not able to thrive the way that you are. And your identity might not be as wrapped up into this one skill as you think it is. Um, I would recommend maybe teasing apart what does light you up, what fuels you, what you enjoy about what you're currently doing. And is there another sub avenue that gives you a bit of those things that can also fulfill you in a different way?
Yeah.
Like teaching for me, what it actually is I enjoy being a leader. I enjoy holding space for individuals to play and figure out what their next chapter is. I'm realizing that doesn't have to just be in a dance room. That can be, through life. That can be through autoimmune stuff. Like that's my anchor is actually what makes me successful, not
Mhm.
just dance related. So, maybe that is then going into coaching eventually or something else. Um, but I will say if your passion isn't working as a full financial support and you're starting to hate your passion as well, then it's time to create and
Pivot.
give yourself something else to support you so that that is your lifeline of your soul versus
Yeah.
like killing you, if that
Yeah.
makes sense.
Yeah, absolutely. And I
I like to have my hands in many pots, and that's
yes.
okay.
Yes, but I also think of like trial and error, like pour into the things that do bring you the joy. But let it be through instinct. So
Yeah.
don't pour into it because you feel like you have to. If you enjoy pottery and then all of a sudden you're like, okay, well, at least now I have to go to a pottery class or I have to pick it up or whatever every week, or it has to become a thing now because it's my hobby, because I need a hobby that brings me joy. I think take the pressure off the commitment and
Yeah.
just if you feel the gut to go, you know what, I haven't done pottery in a while, I'm gonna go to a pottery class, and you did it once out of the whole year. Fantastic. Everything's a slow process. I think of like having it like a stove top and you're cooking different things and they're all taking different times and they're all different processes and they'll all need different things, but you're just slowly like, okay, now the burner here is only at 10% because I need to let that steam roll. Okay, I need to turn this burner up to 80% because I need to pour more into this. And so it's kind of just this testing the waters to find out the things that have like, okay, this hobby is actually something that finds me great pleasure and I don't need to do it all the time. So maybe that's the avenue that I can push for more creativity to find the joys of life to make work a bit more bearable. Or maybe I need to actually take the burner off of the work and maybe take a couple of days off and, lighten my load so that I can push into something else. Does that make sense? Like,
Yeah.
trial and error, I think is the way to go. Trial and error, find the things that work and walk into it.
That's a hard one. It's
It
like I
is.
think it's a daily struggle for a lot of us. Um, Writing lists. Like even just like we're talking to somebody that's like, I enjoy this, I believe I'm good at this, zoom out, see what's kind of offering for you. But instincts, I would say for sure. A lot of the time we feel this pressure, this pressure to
Mhm.
shift. And then I always ask, like, where's that coming from? Is it actually coming from you, or is it because somebody said something to you 10 years ago and I have the story in your head that's like
Yeah.
looping? Like I think zooming out and figuring that as well.
And also letting it, like if like I'm a terrible painter. I really am. I can go all the
No such
classes.
thing. Art's subjective.
But here's the thing, does it matter?
No.
It doesn't really
No.
matter if I'm terrible or not. If I like doing it, then I will keep doing it. I don't
Also,
have to be good at it ever.
yes. Art's not meant to be this thing that's judged anyway.
Yeah.
Like the creativity. And I think I think so many people don't even tap into the creative side because they're bad at it, or they're like, oh, but I'm not going to do it for like play,
Play.
play,
Serious play. Go back to play.
go back to play.
Go back to play. I think that that's will
And that sums
go
up,
back to play.
go back to play.
Let's go back to play.
And that sums up our,
Sums out.
sums out and scene director Snappa of the glorious mess without the main mess.
Just
Yeah.
the two chaotic messes.
We actually have a really super, our next episode is actually going to be with Vanessa Lalonde,
Oh,
and
yes.
she's actually going to be talking about imposter syndrome. It's an amazing module. She's also
Definitely one you don't want to
yeah,
miss.
she's also just a wizard, and also somebody that's had a very successful career in the arts and leadership and breathwork and creative coaching. She's super rad.
She's done great for me.
I owe a lot of
Helped
my
to
discovery
help a girl
to
out.
her. And so if you have any questions about that coming up, imposter syndrome, let us know in the comments. Also,
know.
if you want to hear more about the creative side and dancing, I know this podcast has been more about mental health and society and growth. But a huge part of why I think we are so receptive to all those things is our art and dance backgrounds. So if you want to know more about the tea of that, we can pivot.
Holla at
Holla.
your girl. Mm.
All right. Bye, y'all. Have a blessed week. If you're in Vancouver, we have a show,
Saturday, May 4th.
May 4th,
4th.
about reclamation of
Ooh.
yourself and sexual sovereignty and saying, fuck what you've been called, reclaim it. You're amazing. Love y'all. Have a great week.
Deuces.
Deuces.